Hello, boys and girls of grade 5. Welcome to our mathematics class. I hope that you all have been staying safe and healthy. I am Miss Yulita Brown Phillips. For mathematics today, we will be looking at ordering fractions. But before we get into the topic, let's do a recap. What does the word fraction mean? What comes to your mind when you think about the word fraction? I will give you a second to think about it. Well, if you said that a fraction is something that shows a part of something, you are absolutely correct. A fraction is something that shows parts of a whole. It represents or it expresses numbers less than 1. What if I want to share half of my pizza with you? I love pizza, don't you? My favorite pizza is Hawaiian chicken coupled with cheese. Or quarter of an ice cake. It might be an ice cake that I would have gotten as a birthday present. Now those are fractions. Those are numbers that tell us when we have less than a whole or less than 1. So let's put this into words. A fraction equals part over a whole. So let's break it down further. As I told you before, I love pizza. So my best friend comes over to hang out with me. And what do you think we're going to get to eat? Pizza. So I want to share a part with her. I will split the pizza in half right down the middle so that we each get 1/2. 1/2 for me and 1/2 for my friend Mary. Now remember, a fraction is something that shows parts of a whole. Boys and girls, let's examine closer what a fraction looks like. This is what half looks like. 1/2. Do you know that half is a very important fraction? We use it all the time. Now in the fraction half, it has 2 parts. The 1, the line, and the 2 at the bottom. The number at the bottom, which is the 2, is called the denominator. Wow, that's a big word, right? I'm sure you would have heard that word before. Let's say that word again, denominator. Now the denominator in the fraction shows the total number of parts the whole is divided into. The top number, which would be 1 in this case, which we call the numerator, this tells us the number of parts we are talking about. Remember, we divided the pizza into halves. And I shared with my friend Mary 1/2. Hence the reason there is 1 out of 2 parts. And the other half I got. So let's say I have an iced cake. Yummy. And I divide it into 4 parts. And I give my friend Mary 1 part. How many equal parts did I divide my cake into? Yes, boys and girls, 4 equal parts. Previously, we said that the number that shows the total number of parts the whole is divided into is the denominator. So 4 would be at the bottom. How many parts did I give to Mary? Yes, boys and girls, 1 part. So I give Mary 1/4 of my cake. Or it can also be said to be quarter. So let's say I have 5 jerseys and 2 are red. Look at the jerseys there. The question I want to ask, what fraction of the jerseys is red? Think about it. What do we know? So we know that a fraction is made up of a numerator and a denominator. The denominator shows us the total number of parts. So what's the total number of jerseys? Yes, that's absolutely correct. 5 is the total number of jerseys. The parts we are talking about would be the red jerseys. Now what I'm going to ask you, or what I've asked, is the fraction of red jerseys in the set of jerseys. Take a minute and try to figure it out. Did you say 2 jerseys are red? You are absolutely correct. But the question asked, what fraction of the jerseys is red? So we have the total parts. What's the total number of jerseys we're looking at? Yes, 5. So 5 would be our denominator. What's the total number of parts we are talking about? Yes, 2. Because we're answering the question, what fraction of the jerseys is red? So it's 2/5 of the jerseys are red. You're very smart, boys and girls. So now that we have that out of the way, we will now move on to our topic that we are looking at today. Ordering fractions. Before we go any further, there are some key terms that I would like you to keep at the back of your head because you would see them popping up here and there in the lesson as it progresses. The first term, order. What does order mean? Order means to place in a particular sequence. Ascending order. In mathematics, we can place things or numbers in 2 different categories or orders when we are ordering or sequencing. It can either be sequenced in ascending order or descending order. What is ascending order? Ascending order is ordering numbers from smallest to greatest. Think about climbing the stairs, moving from the bottom of the stairs to the top. We say that you are ascending the stairs. Descending order. ordering numbers from the greatest to the least. Now think about when you are coming down the stairs, you're coming from top to bottom. Numerator. I hope you remember what the numerator is because we looked at that earlier in our recap. Now the numerator is the number at the top that tells us what we are talking about. Denominator. See that big word again? The denominator is the number at the bottom that tells the total number of parts the whole is divided into. Unit fraction. When you hear the word unit, what comes to your mind? Yes, 1. A unit fraction is a proper fraction whose numerator is always 1. Example, 1/2, 1/4, 1/3, 1/5, 1/8, 1/9. All of those are unit fractions. So like everything else, there are rules that we must follow. When we are ordering fractions, it is important that we follow the rules so that we can come up with our correct answers. The first rule says, when the denominators of a given set of fractions are the same, you look at the numerator. What did we say the numerator was? The number we are talking about, the number at the top. We arrange the numerators accordingly in ascending and descending order. Ascending, moving from smallest to greatest. Descending, moving from greatest to smallest. So I have an example. Arrange the fractions in ascending and descending order. I'll read the fractions and then I'll give you a minute to read them for yourself. 8/9, 5/9, 6/9, 4/9. Boys and girls, your turn. Try to read these fractions for me. Good job! You are really smart, boys and girls. So firstly, we will arrange these fractions in ascending order. Look at all those fractions there. What do you see is common? Yes, they all have the same denominators. And the rule said when they have the same denominators, we look at the numerator and arrange them accordingly. So we're going to start with arranging them in ascending order. Boys and girls, which fraction you think would come first? Remember, you are looking at the numerator. So the smallest number would come first. Yes, 4/9 would be the first fraction. Yes, then 5/9 would be the second fraction. Go on, you're doing a really great job. Yes, 6/9 would be the next fraction. And the final one that is the greatest would be 8/9. Very good, boys and girls. Now we're going to order them in descending order. And we said the descending order is coming from greatest to smallest. So the greatest fraction there would be 8/9. Go on. 6/9. Go on. 5/9. And finally, 4/9. Very good, boys and girls. You did an excellent job. Now look at this activity I have here for you. Arrange the fractions below in ascending and descending order. The first set, 7/8, 1/8, 3/8, 5/8. Take a minute, boys and girls. Look at those fractions and arrange them in ascending and descending order. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Remember to write neatly. Your work says a lot about you. Good, boys and girls. Let's see what you have. So we're going to look at them, arranging them in ascending order first. Ascending order, moving from smallest to greatest. What do you notice about all those fractions? What is common? Yes, they all have the same denominators. And the rule says when the fractions have the same denominators, we arrange them in ascending order using the numerators. So let's go. We have 1/8, yes. Then 3/8, then 5/8, then 7/8. Very good, boys and girls. Let's move on to the next part that asked for us to arrange them into descending order. And do you remember what descending order is? Yes, boys and girls, moving from the greatest to the smallest. Now, all the denominators are the same, so we will look at the numerators to arrange these fractions in descending order. So, the largest fraction there, the fraction with the largest numerator, would be the largest fraction. And in this case, the largest fraction there is 7/8. Then 5/8. Then 3/8. Then 1/8. Do you have that, boys and girls? Excellent. So for the second one, you have 9/10, 8/10, 3/10, and 6/10. Now arrange that set of fractions in ascending and descending order. Good, boys and girls, let's work. Do you remember what is ascending order? Yes, ascending order means when we start from smallest to largest. Now, all those fractions, they have the same denominator, so we will arrange them in ascending order according to their numerators. So the first one we have is 3/10, 6/10, 8/10, 9/10. Good job. Now we will arrange the same fractions in descending order. We're going to arrange these fractions moving from greatest to smallest. What is the greatest numerator there? Yes, it's 9. So the fraction 9/10 would be the greatest fraction. Then we have 8/10. Then we have 6/10. Then we have 3/10. Very good, boys and girls. Now, as usual, I have the problem of the day for you to solve. I have 7 fruits. If 5 of them are apples and the rest are grapes, what fraction of the fruits are grapes? Okay, boys and girls, I think you are finished working. Let's see what you have. Now, you had 7 fruits, and that 7 fruits represented the whole. But it said 5 of the 7 fruits are apples and the rest are grapes. So how would you know how many fruits are grapes? Yes, you had to subtract the 5 from 7 because 5 of them are apples and 7 represents the whole. So the fraction of the fruits that are grapes is 2/7. Very good, boys and girls. I see you are awesome and excellent at solving my problem of the day. So, boys and girls, this has brought us to the end of our lesson. But before you go, I want to recap some things with you. What did we say were fractions? A fraction is something that shows parts of a whole. It expresses or represents numbers less than 1. A fraction is equal to part over whole. So boys and girls, remember the fraction has 2 parts. The numerator, the number at the top, that tells us the number of parts we are talking about, and the denominator that shows the total number of parts the whole is divided into. Now we also learned that we can order numbers and fractions in mathematics. We learned that ascending order is to order numbers from smallest to greatest. We learned that descending order is to order numbers from greatest to smallest. We learned that a unit fraction is a fraction that is a proper fraction whose numerator is always 1. We also learned that there are rules for ordering fractions with like denominators. When we have fractions with like denominators, we arrange those fractions using the numerator accordingly in ascending and descending order. So boys and girls, I hope that you learned quite a lot today, and I hope you had fun in our mathematics class. Now it's time for me to say goodbye to you. Remember to stay safe and healthy. Bye, friends.